Today, we're diving into a story that really makes you think. A story about two brothers that asks a pretty powerful question. What are we actually worth? Is it about what we have in the bank? Or is it about who we are deep down? Let's get into it and see how character, not cash, is what really defines a person. So, let's meet the two brothers at the heart of this tale. On one side, you've got Dharmpal. He's the elder brother, and he is rolling in it. I mean, he's incredibly wealthy. And on the other side, his younger brother, Sham, who is living in deep, deep poverty. They're family, sure, but as you're about to see, they might as well be living on different planets. So how different are their lives really? Let's take a closer look at what their day-to-day looks like, because it shows you just how massive the gap between them truly is. This table just lays it all out, doesn't it? Dharmpal is living in a huge mansion, with marble floors and servants waiting on him hand and foot. He's got all the fancy stuff, silver, expensive furniture, but his home life, it's described as cold and distant. Then you have Sham. He's in a tiny mud hut. His most valuable possessions are worn-out slippers and a torn shirt. But his family, even when they're hungry, is filled with this really strong, genuine love. And that's the real difference here, isn't it? It's not about the money. It's about the heart. And believe me, this wasn't a secret. The whole village could see it plain as day. This quote here really captures what everyone was thinking. It was common knowledge. They'd look at one brother, then the other, and just shake their heads. Two brothers from the same family, living in completely different universes. But being rich or poor, that's just the setting for our story. The real action starts when life throws a couple of tests their way. These are the moments that peel back all the layers and show us who these two men really are on the inside. All right, so the first test comes with some good news. A son is born to Dharmpal. And what does he do? He throws an absolutely massive party. The mansion is all decorated, and he invites the entire village. This isn't just a celebration, it's a chance for him to show off just how wealthy and important he is. But get this, his own brother, Sham, doesn't get an invitation. That's a deliberate, pretty cruel move. But despite being snubbed like that, Sham decides to go anyway. And he doesn't show up empty-handed. He brings the only thing he can really offer, a small, simple wooden cradle that he made with his own two hands. It's just this pure act of love for his new nephew. And Dharmpal's reaction? Wow. In front of all his rich friends and the whole village, he looks at his brother's simple gift and torn clothes and says this. He completely disowns him. It is just breathtakingly cruel. He doesn't just reject him, he tries to completely erase the relationship, calling him nothing more than some guy who works for him sometimes. So as you can imagine, Sham is just completely humiliated. His heartfelt gift is thrown back in his face as being worthless. He leaves totally heartbroken, but here's the key part. His own sense of self-worth is still intact. His dignity wasn't something his brother could give him or take away, it came from inside. Okay, now for test number 2, which happens pretty quickly. A hungry old woman comes looking for help. First, she goes to Dharmpal's mansion, a place overflowing with food. He insults her and has her thrown out. Then she finds her way to Sham's little hut. And what does he do? Even with barely enough food for his own family, he welcomes her in and shares what little they have. And because of his kindness, the old woman gives him something, a small bundle of seeds. And look at what she tells him. She says to plant them with honesty and hard work. It's not just gardening advice, it's like a prophecy, right? She's telling him that his good character is the secret ingredient for success. This is the moment everything starts to change. And that brings us to the next part of our story, the harvest. And we're not just talking about crops here, we're talking about consequences. Both brothers are about to get exactly what's coming to them, based on how they've acted. You know what they say, you reap what you sow. For Sham, the path is pretty straightforward. He gets the seeds, he does what he's always done, works hard, acts with integrity, and boom, he gets this incredible, abundant harvest. It's not magic, it's his character paying off in a very real way. And with that, he starts to build a new, better life for his family, a life built on dignity. Meanwhile, what's going on with the Dharmpal? Well, it's the exact opposite story. His pride and arrogance just keep getting worse, and it starts to poison everything. His business starts to fail. He mistreats his workers so badly that they all quit. And that massive fortune he was so proud of, it just starts to disappear. His downfall comes directly from the pride he valued so much. So all of this leads us to the great reversal. The worlds these two brothers built are starting to crumble and switch places. The mighty are about to fall, and the humble are about to rise. Before he knows it, Dharmpal has lost everything. The money's gone, the servants are gone, and he's totally helpless. And in that moment of absolute desperation, who's the one person he's forced to think about? Yep, his brother, Sham, the very same person he went out of his way to publicly humiliate. Now listen really closely to what's going through his head right here. He admits Sham is a hard worker, but then listen to his reasoning. After all, he is my brother. He won't refuse me. You see that? Even now, at his lowest point, he doesn't think about love or family. He sees his brother as an obligation, something he can use. It just goes to show you, his situation has changed, but his character, not so much. And that brings the whole story right to the edge, forcing us to face this central question of this entire thing. What is true wealth anyway? The story leaves us right here, on this cliffhanger. Dharmpal is about to go ask Sham for help. So the question for us is, what happens next? What happens when pure arrogance has to go hat in hand and beg for help from the very person it tried to crush? And really, that leads us to the final thought I want to leave you with. This story showed us two kinds of wealth. One was built on marble floors and fancy possessions, and it crumbled to dust. The other was built on kindness and hard work, and it grew into something amazing. So I'll ask you, where do we find real, lasting wealth? In the mansion or in the heart?